Hey YouTube, how's it going? Today I'm going to show you how to wood burn. Whether it be something like this, a video that I just made quite recently, or something with a little bit more detail. This is one that I made a couple months back. There's also a video to that. I'll post links to both of those in the description. So the first thing you're going to need is something to burn the wood with. Now this is for wood burning, and it goes up to about 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit, which is about perfect for wood burning. Now if you can't find where to get these, or you don't have enough money to get one, another way you can wood burn is with soldering irons like these. The problem with this though is they only go to about 450 degrees Fahrenheit, and if you get good enough at it, you might want to invest in something like this. Basically what it is a high-tech version of this wood burner or a soldering iron. You can change the pens like this, and one thing that I really like about it is it's a lot easier to hold this than it is to hold this. You have a lot more control, and you can get a lot closer to what you're working with, whereas here you're this far back. I'll show you this in another video. Today, however, is just a beginner's video, so the basics to wood burning. You're going to want to be really careful where you set this down to make sure that this part right here isn't touching anything, because it can catch fire to other things. A wood burner or a soldering iron like this, you'll be able to do this. It'll take a long time, but you'd be able to do this. I feel like you'd be fairly hard pressed to be able to do something like this, just because of like the fact that this only has one temperature, or even if you do have a variable temperature one, that it's really hard to control this versus one of the nicer ones that I have. Now that being said, you can still shade and get some pretty detailed lines with a wood burner like this. Actually burned this with this wood burner back in 2015. Also have a video to that. Again, link will be in the description. So you're going to want to see if it's hot enough or not, and a good way to do that is take a scrap piece of wood, but I'll just use this, and touch it to the side. And it's not really burning yet, so I'll give it a little longer to heat up. And thanks to the magic of video editing, you didn't have to wait for that. I'm going to change the view of the camera now so that you can see what I'm doing. Alright, so here we go. You're going to want to practice making lines to begin with, and the trickiest part here is making like consistent lines. And if you don't have patience, it's going to take a lot longer in the long run. So basically what most people end up doing is they'll get to this point right here, and then they'll start to speed up, and then you end up with something that's really uneven. Then you'll slow down, you might go too slow, and end up with something like that. You're going to have to go over it again, just like this, and basically make the line from scratch again. And since you're burning it darker, it's just going to work that way. So do it right the first time and just go slow. So you can make lines, if you have the chisel tip like this, you can make lines that way. You can make lines this way. You can kind of stipple with the corner. And kind of the last thing is, other than lines, is shading. Now this is really tricky, but say you have a curve like this, and you want to make it look darker around here, like 3D. You can just use the flat bit and kind of just move the wood burning tool around over the same spot until it starts to get darker, and just don't let it get too dark because it's hard to go back from dark to light. You have to use sandpaper and it doesn't usually look as nice. So you're just gonna want to get it all the same color and then make it darker on the outside. So that's how you shade. Now, beyond just practicing how to make straight lines and making dots or even curved lines or practicing your shading, you might ask, well, what the heck do I do now? And I don't assume that many of you would be able to just take a wood burner and freehand something, even from a picture. I know that I can't do it that way. I have to at least draw it out in pencil on this first. Alright, so I'm going to draw a flower, let's say. I'll just go something like this. And I'll just make it 4 leaves. Here we go. Very, very simple flower. So for the most part with wood burning, you're just going to want to burn the lines that you've drawn. You're just going to want to burn those right as dark as they'll go. Okay, so you'll get to the point like this where it's just an outline, and I don't have so much trouble with it anymore now that I'm using the other wood burning system, but when I first started, I'd leave like the pencil marks all over the place because it's a lot easier to just go with the flow and then work with the way the wood wants the wood burner to move. So just take an eraser and get rid of all the pencil marks that are still on the wood. You can do this with light grit sandpaper too if you like. Okay, so now it's time to take everything we've learned here and apply it to here. I'm going to use stippling for the center of the flower. Okay, now that we have that, we're going to shade the petals of the flower and the stem. So, there you go. Using the lines, the stippling, and the shading technique I briefly explained in the beginning, this is one thing that you can end up with, and of course, with this, as many other things, it's quite limited to only your imagination. The wood that I'm using for this is just pine. I chose this wood not because I like working with it or because it produces the nicest result. It's simply because it's the easiest to use and the easiest to find for most people. Now, some of you might say, well, Dylan, I can't draw, and that's perfectly fine. All you need is carbon paper and something that you printed off the internet or traced off something else. So what we're going to do is lay the carbon paper down and then tape whatever the picture is that we want. Tape it down with masking tape so it doesn't damage the wood. And then take a pencil or something else that's sharp and simply trace over all the lines. Alright, so once you've just traced over the entire thing with a pencil or another pointed object, lift it up, see, you might have even missed a part like I just did there. So I'll redo that. And there we go. This looks fairly crude. I didn't take my time at all doing that. That's what I suggest, is just take your time when you're tracing it, because that's what you'll be going off of when you go to burn it. So you don't want it to change too much from the original. I've already shown you this, so I'm not going to bother burning this. How to wood burn, and that's the basics. Safety thing I'd like to point out is make sure you unplug this when you're done with it. And make sure you leave it somewhere where this is not touching anything else. I'd also like to point out that this is the way I do things, not necessarily the right way or the safest way, so do things at your own risk. Something else with using this, it takes a long time to actually make anything. As you can see, I sped the video up a lot when I was showing this to you. And it can be really frustrating to begin with, so just take a break, come back to it later. It does get better. Like I said, if you get one of these, it's a whole different ball game. Has variable temperature and it goes up to 1440 degrees Fahrenheit, and it does that in 8 seconds. So you don't have to wait for this to heat up. You don't have to wait for it to cool down, and it's just a heck of a lot easier to burn with. Alright YouTube, that's it for this video. So it's been getting more difficult to make YouTube videos because of the lack of time that I have between going to school full time and working 30 hours a week. It's a little bit stressful, and it's hard to either get to my grandma's house where my shop is or get anything out that takes a lot of time here. This right here is a list of all the different video ideas I have, and I'm gonna do them all, but it's a time thing. So I guess just stay tuned. I will get to all of those, and I'm sure there'll be many more ideas in the future. So I'm sorry if the videos lack in a little bit of quality or if I miss an upload date. I'm trying to go every Tuesday now, start to have some sort of schedule, and I might go more than that this summer if I have time. Might end up being less. I don't know. So I'd like to say thank you to all of my subscribers, and everyone who watches my videos and is nice enough and helpful enough to provide some sort of feedback, so that I know what I'm doing right, what I'm doing wrong. So thank you. Alright, that's it for this video. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.